for Success webinar. So thank you again for joining us today. We are the Healthier Together Medtronic team, and we're excited to be here with you. All right, so just to get rolling, we're going to start out with a few housekeeping items. All right, so first of all, you will see that we will be recording our webinar. Okay? So this webinar will be recorded and emailed to everyone in attendance. If you do have to leave the webinar early or want to revisit the content, which I highly recommend, is like I said, we have a lot of great information to share. And the recording will be uploaded to our Viva Engage community and to our YouTube channel. So the slide deck will also be available for you to review as well. And of course, we want our webinars to be interactive. So please engage as much as you'd like, and you can ask questions or add comments to the chat. And if we don't get a chance to respond to your question today, we will contact you individually. All right, and remember to check out our Healthier Together for resources, healthy habit tracking. You can join challenges, all those things to take care of what matters most. And of course, if you haven't had the opportunity to register for Healthier Together yet, here's how you do so. And then when you get the slide deck, you can review that information and reach out if you need to we can help you get set up. So without further ado, let's get rolling on the benefits of strength training. So we're going to talk about why we should strength train and why is it so important. All right, so let's dive in and see what some of these benefits are. So number one, improve bone health. So numerous studies have shown that strength training can play a role in slowing bone loss, and several studies have even shown that it can even build bone. So this is tremendously useful to help offset age-related declines in bone mass to reduce the risk of osteoporosis. So activities like strength training that put stress on the bones can nudge those bone-forming cells into action. And then that stress comes from the tugging and pushing on bone that occurs during strength training, which results in stronger and denser bones. Number two, helps manage weight. So strength training helps you lose weight and keep it off by building that muscle. So the more muscle mass you have, the higher your metabolic rate tends to be. So if you build muscle, you can speed up your metabolism and burn more fat when you exercise, and even when you don't. The faster your body burns calories, the more calories it will burn each day. And of course, increasing your calorie deficit is necessary for weight loss. Number three, increase muscle mass. So we touched on this just a little, just with the managed weight, but how does strength training actually do this? Well, when you lift weights, you overload the muscle and it works to adapt to be able to lift more weight. So the way the muscle adapts is by increasing the active structures responsible for muscular contraction. And then strength training stimulates this growth, which leads to an increase in muscle mass over time and can slow down and even stop the rate of muscle mass decline as we age. Maintain muscle tissue. So muscle mass is actually a metabolically expensive tissue. So this muscle tissue is constantly being broken down, recreated, and rebuilt to create bigger and stronger tissue. And this process requires energy. And the more muscle we have, the more energy it takes for this process, which in turn stokes the fire of your metabolism. Decrease injury risk. Strength training involves fluid movements through a full range of motion. So these movements improve the strength of the muscles, tendons, and even the ligaments and bones. So stronger muscles and tendons help hold the body in proper alignment and protect the bones and joints when you're moving. Strength training also promotes excellent body awareness and body control to help improve balance and reduce the risk of falling. Joint flexibility. Numerous studies have demonstrated that strength training helps strengthen your joints as well as your muscles and bones. So since muscles grow during strength training, there's an additional amount of fiber in the muscles, and each of these fibers has the same amount of flexibility as the existing ones, which allows the muscle to stretch further than it was previously able to do. And of course, this increased joint flexibility helps us decrease joint pain, which is a symptom of arthritis. So managing chronic conditions. So not only does strength training reduce symptoms of arthritis, but it also reduces symptoms of many other chronic conditions, such as back pain, obesity, heart disease, depression, and diabetes. So because strength training increases that lean muscle mass, it gives your cardiovascular system places to send the blood being pumped, which results in less pressure on your arteries, which helps reduce the chances of heart-related problems. An increase in lean muscle mass also means a decrease in body fat, which helps reduce your risk of obesity. And studies have shown that being involved in a strength training program can improve glucose control and stabilize blood sugars for those with type 2 diabetes. It helps relieve chronic back pain, and it has been shown to improve mental well-being by lowering depression and anxiety symptoms while improving self-esteem. Number 8 is sharpening thinking skills. So strength training boosts your memory and your thinking skills. It acts by stimulating these physiological changes within the body, which can fog the brain. So it also encourages production of chemicals that affect the growth of new blood vessels in the brain, and even the abundant survival and overall health of new brain cells. So having healthy, abundant brain cells improves your cognitive abilities. And number 9, strength training actually enhances your quality of life. So strength training allows you to be able to do everyday activities more easily. It improves your mood and increases your quality of sleep. It leads to a boost in confidence, higher self-esteem, and improved body image. And all these things combined help you to live your best life. So what do we need to do to reap and gain all these benefits? So let's look at this common saying, use it or lose it. So starting with lose it, what happens if we don't use our muscles? Well, unfortunately, we lose muscle mass, we lose strength, and we lose function. And this involuntary loss is called sarcopenia. So as we look at the graph on this slide, we can see that age is along the horizontal axis and muscle mass is along the vertical axis. So we can see that peak muscle mass occurs between the ages of 20 and 30 years old. But unfortunately, muscle mass decreases approximately 3 to 8% per decade after the age of 30. And at the age of 60 and beyond, the rate of decline is even higher. So we can see that use it is important. So let's look at the 3 hows to improve your health with strength training and reap those benefits. The American College of Sports Medicine recommends the following guidelines. How often should we strength train? 2 to 3 days a week. How much? 8 to 12 repetitions per exercise. How many? 8 to 10 different exercises that target all major muscle groups. Now, of course, there are many, many, many different workout programs. So this is an idea. This is the recommended guideline, right? And Kyle is going to really dig deeper into all of these different workouts and things that you can do to make your weight and strength training programs successful. So I'll turn it over to Kyle.
Yes, thank you. Yes, guidelines. Absolutely. Just for kind of that general approach on strength training. But there are many variables that go into effective strength training workouts. As Carolyn just said, Isaac and I are going to deep dive into a few of those variables today that all relate back to the main factor, progression. With sharing this information to you, we hope that you can utilize it to approach your own strength workouts for notable progress, more muscular development, and also minimizing plateaus along the way. So we do recognize that there is going to be a lot of information, especially during my portion, but overall, a lot of information to digest in these upcoming slides. So I highly encourage you to revisit the slide deck once you receive it, once we send it out. So there is an interaction between stress in the body, and a man by the name of Hans Selye understood this interaction to be a battle to reach homeostasis, or the body's baseline. The body doesn't like stress, but it recognizes the stress signal. It signals that something has to change or adapt to reduce the amount of stress on the body if it comes across that same stressor again. If the stressor is large enough, it triggers adaptation. Even though the body doesn't want to change, it realizes that it is better off adapting to it and putting in place new mechanisms against that stressor to not have negative effects on the body. Over the next couple slides, there's 3 different phases that you'll see that Hans Selye determined as what's called the general adaptation syndrome. But I'm going to describe it in a more relatable way through the words of Cal Dietz and Ben Peterson from the textbook Triphasic Training. So they described it in terms of running. Imagine you haven't been out for a run for several months. Maybe it's because you live in Minnesota, like the wellness team and many others, but like in Minnesota, where running outside during the months of January through March is difficult due to cold temperatures, snow, and maybe ice. So you finally get some comfortable weather and you go out for a run. The next morning, you roll out of bed and almost fall over. Your feet are killing you, your quads are on fire, and your lower back feels like you slept on concrete floor. After a brief analysis of the situation, you conclude that you're just getting old and maybe incredibly out of shape. But you are pretty sure that it won't kill you if you go out for a run again. This process continues for a week or so. Each time you wake up, you're a little less sore than the previous day, even through the number of miles you ran each subsequent time may be increased. Why? The simple and clever answer might seem to be that you're just in better shape, but that is not the real reason why. The real reason is because your body has adapted to the new stressor, running. During the first run, your body was screaming at you like, "What are you doing to me?" Your body was adapted to a state of homeostasis originally that didn't involve running. It was happy. By throwing in the new stressor of running again, it forced the body to adapt, to change, so that the next time you went running, the body said, "Oh, this again? I knew this was coming. Running is easy." The human body is lazy and wants to be kept in a nice warm blanket of homeostasis as much as possible. So with that scenario, it is important to note that when you are doing your workouts, you need to challenge yourself in a way that promotes the necessary adaptations for progress. Always in a safe way that doesn't put you at risk for injury or overtraining and allows the body to recover appropriately to make the adaptations necessary. So there are 3 possible results to training when you are Yes, sorry, I thought I skipped over a slide. There are 3 possible results to training when you put all 3 phases of the general adaptation syndrome together. The first one, low-grade stressor that does not produce enough of a reaction response, resulting in no adaptation. No positive change because workloads were not stressful enough. These type of workouts, although in general good for daily physical activity, for moving, just for overall good health, but when you are maybe result-oriented or goal-oriented, they really are a waste of time when you are aiming, like I said, towards specific goals. So the second one, this one doesn't happen often to maybe the general gym goer or the general person. But here, high-level stress is compounded over numerous workouts where the body is not given the necessary time to build itself up through that resistance phase. If more and more stress is applied without enough time for recovery, you will fall into the phase of exhaustion or overtraining. If you reach this point, it could take months for your body to get back to its original baseline. Again, doesn't typically occur for the average adult, but it is highly considered for strength and conditioning coaches who work with athletes who are continually pushing those individuals to maximize their performance levels. But finally, that third possible result or outcome. This is the one that you're really looking for. So short bouts of high stress applied over a period of weeks or months, producing an alarm reaction response. The body responds with that release of hormones and forces the body into that resistance stage where it begins to rebuild. The body achieves what's called supercompensation, and that's where improvements are noticeable. And even, again, supercompensation, a new level of homeostasis or baseline is created. So we're really shooting for, when it comes to challenging yourself and creating adaptations, you're looking for that third result here. So another form of adaptation creation that we as well-being specialists consider when working with individuals is known as the SAID principle, specific adaptation to imposed demands. General adaptation syndrome helps us to understand how the body adapts to stressors. SAID, on the other hand, helps us to understand what specific movement or response we're asking the body to adapt to. Those three specificities are mechanical, neuromuscular, and metabolic. So in a little bit here, Isaac and I will talk more about each one of these in maybe some different lights, like how to manipulate repetitions and weight to achieve specific muscular outcomes. So feel free to revisit these slides when they come back out and kind of read through what those are if you're interested in. But to wrap up this portion of adaptation, understand that when your workouts are approached appropriately and you are giving the body the rest and recovery necessary, it will positively adapt and you will see noticeable improvements toward your strength and or muscular goals. That is why it is so important to change your workout routine every 2 to 6 weeks. The research has shown this numerous times. Consistent training within a specific range of repetitions, sets, and rest periods for a few weeks will allow the body to enter that resistance phase where you start seeing improvement and your workouts become easier. If you do not change that stimulus on your body after a period of time, there is that high probability that you will hit a plateau and not see any more positive improvements. Again, positive stress for positive change. So there are 3 different training phases that have specific repetition ranges, number of sets to complete, and even suggested intensity. And in strength training, intensity is the weight, the load that you are moving. Also, that range includes some rest periods and other factors as well. There is also a basic rotation of each phase. As you might have noticed from that image just before, that helps promote those adaptations that we just talked about, as well as maximizing the effectiveness of your exercises and workouts. So today I'm just going to speak to the National Academy of Sports Medicine's training model, their optimum performance training model, as they call it. Any of these models from different governing bodies or agencies of exercise, if you will, may have some slight differences, but they all derive from evidence-based research over the past so many years. So NASM lists their phases and suggests people to start in what they call stabilization endurance, and then move into strength endurance, then muscular development, and then maximal strength, and then into power, depending on your goals and what you're looking for out of your routines. So each phase has its different muscular outcomes as well as its assignments for sets, repetitions, the intensity, and even rest. When you are at the gym wondering what to do for the next few weeks, this can be your guide. Say you're wanting to improve how long your muscles can do something for. You would want to maybe do some exercises within the strength endurance phase. Each exercise you would choose to do would be for 8 to 12 repetitions at an intensity or weight of about 50 to 70% of what you could possibly do just for one repetition with good form. After a rest period of up to about 60 seconds, you would do the same exercise and repetitions for then a total of maybe 2 to 4 sets, whatever you have decided or whatever you have time for your workout. If your goal is to increase muscle definition and overall strength, and maybe you haven't done consistent workouts in several months, you would likely want to organize your workout program like this. So we're talking a little bit lengthier program and to just better understand those cycles. So starting with stabilization endurance, maybe for 3 to 4 weeks to promote proper muscle activation, improve maybe muscular imbalances between maybe your right arm and left arm, or right side, left side type thing. And then overall preparation for strength training. Then after those 3 to 4 weeks, you move into that strength endurance phase for another 3 to 4 weeks to increase the work capacity of your muscles and continue to prepare your body for heavier, more intense workloads. And then finally, maybe another 3 to 4 weeks of workouts within the muscular development phase. Again, in this example, the goal was to improve muscle mass, improve strength. So wanting to get into that final stage for that goal, but also prepare the body appropriately for the stimuluses. So again, remember that in order to continue to see improvement, you need to change up the stimulus. So cycle through different phases every 2 to 6 weeks. And by doing so, it also helps keep your workouts engaging, outcome-driven, and just simply fun. So here's another version of evidence-based training assignments based on training goals. And this one's from the National Strength and Conditioning Association. So this one's similar to NASM's model, but it has some slightly different phase names, maybe some slightly different load assignments or goal repetitions, but fairly similar. As I mentioned at the start of this section, this might be a lot of information to digest. And you might even have a lot of questions. Please take some time to review the information when we send out the slide deck. If we cannot answer your questions right now, please do not hesitate to reach out to Carolyn, Isaac, Kelly, or myself, and we can either answer questions via email directly to you, or even if you'd like to, maybe set up a short Zoom meeting to discuss and answer those questions. All right. Finally, for me, before I hand it over to Isaac, some different training methods to incorporate into your current workouts or to consider when you are at the gym to make your routine, again, more engaging or fun, or even just to simply change up the training stimulus. So some of these you may have heard of, maybe even have completed. Most of the time, workouts are typically performed as what's called multiple set systems. And that's essentially how the training models that I showed you previously, that's how they're organized as well. But you can be creative to help it enhance each of those phases that you are working through towards your training goal. So like take circuit training, for example. This method is where you perform one set of multiple exercises in a row before repeating maybe 2 or 3 times. You could do maybe 12 reps of a dumbbell squat, 12 reps of dumbbell chest press, then 12 reps of a dumbbell back row, and then maybe 12 repetitions of sit-ups for your circuit. So that's a fun method, a great way to, again, mix things up, but still train and approach things appropriately for reaching your goals and creating those adaptations. Another one, and this is a little bit of a shout out to some of my participants on site here through our Fitness Transformation Challenge. I took my participants during their final phase of 10 weeks through some complex sets. So each person would do a strength exercise followed by a complementary power or plyometric exercise. This method is actually pretty intense it has a real high output of neuromuscular activity. So it really needs ample time for rest before you do the same complementary exercises again. But it is exciting and it is a good challenge as well. But that is it for me. I'm going to hand over the proverbial microphone to Isaac for you to share a few more things related to progression.
All right, awesome, Kyle. I'll grab that microphone. Thank you. You got the mic now. Okay, so in following kind of what we were talking here with that progression, it's always important to go in when talking about strength training, to go progression, intensity, and recovery kind of as your three pillars. And so kind of following along with that, let's go on to intensity. It's essential to change the intensity of your workouts throughout your weight training program. Training the intensity involves several different factors. The reason for changing these intensities is what Kyle was mentioning, that to progressively get stronger. And that's where the term progressive overload comes into play. Progressive overload can simply be defined as to continuously improve performance over time. We cannot progress and improve without changing our intensity. Now, NASM, the National Academy of Sports Medicine, defines a fancy definition for its training stimulus must exceed current capabilities to elicit optimal physical and physiological performance adaptations. Essentially, this is just helping you create a new baseline. A great way to apply this principle is as stated. Increases in intensity can be kept within 10% or less each week to allow for gradual adaptation while minimizing risk of injury. Without this progressive overloading, muscle growth and strength will plateau. The chart on the right gives a great visual of this concept. At the bottom is time, the left is performance, the black line is that ever so slightly, slowly increasing fitness level. And we, the participants, the people doing the strength training programs, are that green staircase, kind of going up and back down, up and back down. And you notice how that baseline is just continually improving, getting higher and higher and higher. Also make note of that decline, right? I'll kind of touch on that a little bit later of why that decline is essential. But we'll kind of go on to this last example here of kind of an easy example to put into mind is an example of if you're doing 3 sets of 12, but now with that same weight, you're doing 15 to 20 repetitions, an appropriate action might be to increase that weight by 5 to 10%, kind of going in that 5% increase to only about 8 to 12 reps. And that's kind of just an easy way to gauge that. Now, here are some ways to adjust your intensity productively. The obvious one, kind of one we just said, increasing the weight is going to help increase your intensity. Another way is to add more repetitions. It's also going to influence the intensity of your workout, especially if you're going into that stability and strength endurance phase. You're doing will also ensure progression. This can be by adding more sets to the exercises you're doing. So instead of 3 sets, you're adding 4 sets of bench press, let's say. And then also potentially just adding more exercises to each session. Once you've gotten to that point, frequency. So you could also add more training sessions a week. And then lastly, rest intervals. Decreasing the amount of time between your sets will also increase the intensity of the workout. It's also important to note that rest time is also based on what phase of training you are in. And Kyle mentioned it earlier, and I'll touch on that in a little bit as well. So just an easy formula to follow here is just start with repetitions. If you're like, okay, progressing through, adding repetitions. If you're starting to get to that level where it's getting easy, then go up into your weight. Once that weight is getting easy, go to volume, add more sets, add more exercises. And then after that, you go to frequency. So that's just kind of like, if you're like, well, how do exactly I progress? You know, you're at 5% increase each week. Once you start hitting these little plateaus, you can go from repetitions to resistance to volume to frequency. So progression, intensity, And now to the next pillar, recovery. Allowing your body to rest is going to give you better results within your strength journey. When it comes to overall strength, a lot of times less is more. So let's take a quick dive into what recovery looks like during the workout and in between workouts. So depending on what phase you're training in, it is going to determine the appropriate amount of rest between your sets. If you're looking within that stabilization phase, it's about 90 seconds of recovery time. If you're trying to add more muscular endurance and size, the rest is about 60 seconds between sets. And if you're trying to lift for maximal weight, it's recommended to take a full 3 to 5 minutes between sets to allow your muscles to completely recover, ensuring that you can safely lift those heavy loads. So that's kind of more in the session, like how to recover properly within the session. Now going in between sessions, in determining your proper rest, there are a couple different things to talk about. If your training sessions involve different muscle groups, give yourself 24 hours. If they involve the same muscle groups, give yourself 36 to 48 hours between sessions. Protein synthesis, or as your body is building muscle, lasts 36 to 48 hours. So you want to allow for full recovery before working out that muscle group again. As you can see from the examples on the slide, let's say you did an upper body workout at 11 a.m. on Monday. Wait that full 24 hours, give your body full rest until 11 a.m. on Tuesday to hit that lower body workout again. In the example of hitting that same muscle group, you do an 11 a.m. upper body workout on Monday, wait at least until 11 a.m. on Wednesday to hit that upper body workout again. As far as intensity within those two workouts, you want to adjust that as well. So if you're doing an 11 a.m. upper body on Monday with high weight and low reps, on Wednesday, you might want to hit that muscle group a little bit differently and do a low rate with higher reps. Nutrition tips. Sorry, I lost my place there. Okay, nutrition tips. So hydration is another important when we're talking strength training. Proper hydration is going to allow your body to fully recover within each workout. Listed are the NASM, so that National Academy of Sports Medicine baseline levels. But to get a more accurate number on proper hydration, follow the link on the slide once you get access to the slide deck. And that'll kind of give you a better idea based on your body type and activity level. It's going to give you a more accurate amount on how much water, how much liquid you want to drink. Also, shameless plug with the Healthier Together YouTube channel. We do have a webinar based all on hydration if you want to know more about that. Protein intake is another factor if you want to gain strength and or size to your muscles. Protein is the building block macronutrient. It is an essential nutrient when we're talking about strength training. And referring to the examples on the slide here, if you are an adult that isn't doing any sort of strength training, any sort of activity, you're a sedentary adult, 0.8 grams per kilogram or 0.4 grams per pound a day is what the recommendation is. But if you are in an active strength training protocol with doing a program, it is recommended to get about 1.2 to 1.7 grams per kilogram a day, or going by pounds, 0.5 to 0.8 grams per pound a day. So example for myself, I'm 108 pounds. I want to try and aim for about 90 to 140 grams of protein a day if I'm continually trying to build strength and muscle throughout my strength training protocol. Another important tip or note here is a range of 20 to 30 grams of protein. And I said per snack of meal. What I mean by that is your body cannot necessarily, at least the research shows right now, that if you go above that 30 grams, your body isn't necessarily going to fully digest and utilize that. So it's often recommended to wait about, have a snack of about 20 to 30 grams of protein, wait about 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, and then have another snack of about 20 to 30 grams of protein to help keep building that and utilizing that protein throughout your day, rather than being like, okay, I got a 90 grams of protein a day. That's what I have to eat. I'm going to eat that all in one meal. Unfortunately, from what the research has been showing, it doesn't necessarily fully allow you to utilize that protein and build that muscle. The last recovery tip, sleep, and I'm not going to touch on this very, very long, is to get at least 8 hours a night. And that's nothing that is, it's kind of that general protocol that you hear a lot, but especially when we're doing strength training, you want to make sure your body's getting that full rest, that full recovery to allow your muscles to continually get stronger and to build upon that. If you want to know more about how you can do more sleep related strategies, we actually also have a sleep webinar that I provided on this slide as well. So take a look at that if you want to check that out. Now onto some sample plans. So we're just going to kind of quickly scroll through these. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this section, but really this is for you, for when you get access to these slides, you can kind of go through these and see different ways of how to properly give your body enough rest, enough cardio throughout the week, to intelligently, appropriately progress through your strength training protocols. So there's 3 days a week, 5 days a week, 4 days a week, whatever fits your schedule best. You can kind of see through the slides here. 7 days a week, a 3-day rotation. So it's kind of like an ABC day. Every ABC day, you take a proper rest and then go to B. Kind of an example there with that. And right here, to put all this information and trying to put it into one program. If you're still like, well, this is all good information, but I still don't know necessarily what I want to do when I get to the gym. Spend some time here. This is one of our fitness transformation programs that we did this past 10 weeks. And you can kind of see how we progressed through this. That foundation or stability phase, we did about 3 weeks. And you can kind of see what our actual weekly schedule was within that. For a muscular development phase, we spent about 3 weeks within that. And then kind of going back, so if you still made that mental note in your mind of that green staircase, right, of going up in our fitness level for that progressive overload, we provided a deload week. And with that deload week, it gives your body, you're still hitting those muscle groups, but it's just at a much, much lower intensity to try and get your body to fully recover from the last 6 weeks that you just put it through, giving it a little bit of a rest, but not necessarily a huge rest, just enough to give your body that extra time to fully recover, to jump back up to that higher baseline that was established. And obviously the volume, that's that last phase there. That's when we added more volume to the workouts. So Kyle's going to kind of just quickly scroll through some of these. Each slide will be available to you, as well as a YouTube video of each exercise. If you're like, I have no idea what a single arm Bulgarian squat is, the video will kind of show you how to do that with proper form and what exactly is we're looking for. Anything you wanted to add, Kyle, I guess, to some of the programs and some of those daily, weekly schedules?
Not really. I did want to address someone's question. Because I know a lot of people enjoy stretching and yoga, and that is definitely part of physical activity in general. And I know today's topic is a little bit more geared towards strength training specifically. So I hope, I believe Sarah asked that question, but regardless, one of those sample plans throughout the week kind of showed how you can manipulate your strength training sessions and or pair strength training with cardio or cardio with strength training, and then also incorporate maybe yoga into it as well. And I think I can quickly roll back here.
Yeah.
So, this like 4-day-a-week sample schedule, might not fit everyone, might be, might have to look a little bit differently for each individual, but, you could very well do cardio on Monday, maybe a group exercise or even a strength training workout on Tuesday, have a little bit of a rest day, do group exercise again on Thursday, cardio again on Friday, give yourself that rest, and then do maybe some yoga on Sunday. There was also one, like the 7-day-a-week one where you are incorporating cardio and some sort of strength training all at once. So you see in the 7-day one, cardio on its own day, maybe, then cardio and then strength training. I think, Isaac, when you and I developed these like sample plans for Essentials of Wellness, I think this 7-day-a-week one was a little bit more geared towards someone who has like a marathon goal or a 5K. They're more so training for a cardio specific event or goal. And that's where, we threw in, as an example, some strength training for that cross training element and making sure like your joints and muscles and supporting muscles are strong enough to help carry you through the 5K training program or a marathon training program. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no,
absolutely.
A lot of information, like I said, from my portion, and things can definitely be manipulated many different ways. There are many styles, there are many philosophies and many methodologies, even between us as your wellness center team here at Medtronic. I might do something different than Isaac. Isaac might do something, a little bit different than Kelly, but it all kind of comes back to a lot of these main principles. It's just some slightly different approaches to achieving those adaptations, to progressive overload, to just achieving those outcomes that you're looking for. Again, today we're talking more strength training specific.
Good. Well, I'll hand the mic now over to Kelly, and she's going to give you some really good, just easy to apply tips for a safe and successful training program.
All right. Thanks for that hot mic, Isaac. My name's Kelly, and I want to thank, first off, Kyle and Isaac for all the valuable information and insight to all things strength training. So now that you're aware of the strength training factors and training types, I want to dig into 7 tips for staying safe. And I'll also just reiterate some of the topics that Kyle and Isaac covered so we can achieve a successful training program. First off, it is worth the extra few minutes to prep your muscles properly before a lifting session. I know many of you, just like myself, want to get right into it, but really the warm-up is going to prevent short-term injury and promote healthier long-term muscle growth. So your warm-up really preps your body for the load to come, which includes your joints and your connective tissues. You also need to have enough range of motion and flexibility for best lifting form. So you want to get that blood flow running, warm up those muscles before you start to lift, so that when you do lift, you're getting the maximum benefit immediately out of those lifts. Now, if you're doing an upper body day, would choose a form of cardio that's similar to the type of lift you'll be doing, such as like a rowing machine or elliptical. For lower body, then it's okay more doing the walking, jogging, and climbing stairs or cycling, but just kind of pay attention to what your goal is for that day and making sure you're hitting those muscles as you warm up. And again, this doesn't have to be a high intensity cardio. You should be able to talk, yet you might be breathing more heavily. And then as far as the end of your workout, the cool down, it really helps speed up recovery after a workout and reduces soreness. So to cool down, really any exercise, 5 to 10 minutes at your end of the workout, such as walking, yoga, dynamic stretching, static stretching, just bringing that heart rate down rather than going from a heavy lift, just boom, sitting down and being done. It's that transition and cooling your body down. So now that we've gone through the cool down and warm up and we're set to work out, let's focus on form. So tip number 2 is aligning your body correctly by moving slowly and smoothly through each exercise. So poor form can put injury, poor form, so tongue twister, can prompt injuries and slow gains. So when you're learning a strength training routine, it's often safest to start with no weight or very light weight, even if it's just for your first set, just to ensure that proper form before adding high resistance. Just concentrating on slow, smooth lifts and equally controlled descents while isolating a muscle group. Also keeping the muscle joints soft, the joint soft, aids in promoting muscle resistance and minimize bone and joint injuries. So this leads us into tip number 3, working at the right tempo. Talking about tempo, I need to slow down. I'm trying to cruise through since we have so much information. But tip number 3 is working at the right tempo. And this helps you stay in control rather than compromise strength gains through momentum. We've all been there where you're getting tired and you just use that momentum to help lift, and that can really throw out other parts of your body. So one example is counting to 3 while lowering a weight, holding, and then counting to 3 while raising it to the starting position. It really just takes one quick jerky move to get injured. So you want to tune into those last few reps, especially when your body is fatigued and you start compromising form and tempo to get the set over with. So with that, let's next talk about breathing. Mainly just don't hold your breath. That should be common sense, but sometimes you start to tense up, hold that breath when you're lifting heavy weights. And that can lead to dizziness, fainting, heart issues. So the ideal way is to exhale as you're working against resistance, either that lift, that push or pull, and then inhale as you're releasing. So just staying nice breathing measures. As long as you're not holding your breath, you don't have to get too crazy about it. There's a lot to think about as you're going into form and tempo and breathing. But typically, as you're doing the work or the lift, that's when you're exhaling to give you that power. So tip number 5 is the right weight for you. It differs depending on the exercise. So when you're slowly increasing your weight, choose a weight that tires the targeted muscle or the muscles by the last 2 repetitions while still allowing you to maintain good form. So if you can't do the last 2 reps with correct form, choose a lighter weight or stop before those 2 reps. I always say failure is the goal with weightlifting, and you want to fail in the gym. So it's okay that you did not complete every single rep. Just make sure that you slowly increase those weights. And then if it feels too easy to complete those 12 reps, let's say that you're aiming for, you can get to 15, then you want to add weight. And typically it's 2 to 5 pounds for arms and 5 to 10 pounds for legs. Or you could add in another set of repetitions to your workout. But if you add weight, remember, you should be able to do all the repetitions with good form, and the targeted muscles should feel tired by those last couple reps. Form really does trump the reps, so it's more important to maintain proper form than get in every single rep. Now let's dig into sticking with your routine. Tip number 6. So as mentioned previously, working all major muscle groups of your body 2 or 3 times a week is ideal. And you can choose to do one full strength body workout 2 or 3 times a week, or you might break up your strength workout into the upper and lower body components, or all those other workouts that we went through with Kyle and Isaac that you can go back to look at. but be sure to perform each component 2 or 3 times a week for maximum effort and achievements. And once again, go over the slide deck with the various workout samples that fit into your routine, into your workday. So now this final tip is one that many ignore, thinking more is more, and it's something that Isaac touched on, but it's really giving your muscles time off. So strength training causes those tiny tears in muscle tissue, and they are important for your muscles to grow. And so as the tears rebuild, your muscles are getting stronger. So give your muscles those 48 hours that Isaac had mentioned to recover before your next training session, to replenish your energy that glycogen stores and allow your damaged muscles to recover. Otherwise, your performance could become compromised and you might experience chronic muscle soreness and pain if you don't have that extended period of rest. And when you rest, your muscles are really starting to heal and grow back stronger. So you'll be able to do the same workout with less effort in the future. And then you get into that overload, progressive overload. So it's a whole full cycle. So with these things in mind, I'd like to now turn it over to Carolyn, who is going to discuss the exciting upcoming wellness events. Here's the mic, Carolyn. And you are on mute.
Thank you. Just noticed that. So thank you, Kelly, for passing over the mic. What a great discussion we had. Really fun information. So before we close out our time, like Kelly said, I just want to share a few upcoming events with you. So first off, we have our next Fitness Transformation Challenge, which the guys were talking about today. And that's going to start in October, but registration is open now. And that is for all Medtronic employees. And it's a free program. So you can take what you learned today and put it into practice as we coach you through the workouts. And we'll be offering both in person at our Twin Cities on-site wellness centers and a virtual program. So open to all. And then this month, there are 2 more webinar opportunities. MEEP will be hosting a webinar on workday workouts to learn how to make exercise a part of your daily life. And then Rethink Care will be sharing on Neurodiversity Explained to learn about neurodiverse needs and support tools available at home and in the workplace. And then our annual Medtronic Move Together 5K is open for registration as well. And that's going to be in person on September 20th at the Mounds View campus, along with a vendor fair, or you can also do the virtual option, which is on either September 20th or the 21st. And make sure to post a pic on our Viva Engage Healthier Together community so we can see all those fun things everybody is up to. All right, here we show our weekly live offerings. So we would love to see you. These are all on Zoom, so you can add them to your calendar. And then we also offer, you can see we offer a variety of different sessions, ranging from, quick 15-minute low impact workouts, posture sessions, flex breaks, relaxing guided meditations, etc. So lots of great stuff. So tune into those. We'd love to see you. All right. Yeah, we'll let Kyle here wrap it up for us today.
Thanks, everyone. And thank you, Kelly, Isaac, Carolyn. Yes, such good information and a lot of information. But yes, remember, we will send out the recording as well as the slide deck, so that way you can review all the information and even those sample workouts. If you do have any specific questions, feel free to reach out to us directly. If you have maybe a little bit more questions regarding, maybe strength training and nutrition, that combination, I highly would suggest reaching out to Kelly. She's kind of our resident nutrition expert here. But yes, any questions you have, email, we can set up a meeting with you and go over your workouts and give you some suggestions. But yes, that is the end of our Strength Training for Success. Before you leave, please share your favorite strength training exercise in the chat. Maybe you have one, maybe you have two, but we want to hear what you like best before you leave.
Nice, rock climbing.
I was just going to say that one is sneaky good.
Yeah. Got into that this winter a little bit. So
The wellness staff likes lower body, it looks like.
Yeah.
I was just gonna type in Bulgarian squats.
Yeah, like what's up with the lower body? So clearly if people ask us for a program, we'll be going heavy on the legs.
Yeah. Yeah, any upper body? No, only legs. Legs.
Yeah. Never skip leg day.
Yeah, never skip leg day.
Ooh, great one. Zottman curls.
Yeah, there we go.
We should just create our next group exercise around these chats and favorite exercises. Ooh, Z curls, yeah.
You're welcome, Diane.
I put those in the program too, influenced of you as well. So.
Well, I'm glad I can have some influence on some people. All right. Take care, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.